Previously on Kipper Tales, we concluded our first adventure with Double T as we finished the delivery trip from Swansea to Nayland. Sadly, our stay at Nayland was a short one, and unfortunately we had to move marinas, and that meant a trip back down the Cleddau to our new home at Milford Haven Marina. And so, with a new boat in a new marina, we start our very first season with Double T. Coming up in episode 1,
when we bought the boat thruster wasn't working.
Some lessons are learned when trusting the so-called professionals.
I made the mistake of asking an engineer to actually have a look at that, and long story short, we never got the motor back.
And we start the task of making Double T family friendly.
Everyone else has been busy. Netting. It's coming along great.
And take you with us on our very first sail of the season.
So we're on our way down to Double T right now, and as you know, she's berthed in Milford Haven. And the plan is we're trying to do a few things really, and one of them is the bow thruster. As you recall, when we bought the boat, the bow thruster wasn't working.
The previous owner told us he never uses it. But given our experiences so far, we really wanted it working.
Unfortunately then, I made the mistake of asking an engineer to actually have a look at that, and long story short, we never got the motor back. So unfortunately, that meant that I had to find a replacement motor. If I got an equivalent, which would be a new motor itself, we're looking at about 1,800 quid, which is a lot of money just for a motor really. By sheer coincidence, I managed to find a similar motor to the one that was removed on eBay. So I bought that. The plan now is to fit that really.
Oh yes, and by the way, I did check the numbers. It's not the motor that was removed. Having never fitted one of these things before, I wasn't sure whether it was supposed to be some sort of gasket or something. But from the research, it doesn't have one. But it's really important that you line up the keyways correctly. Fortunately, it went in like a dream. All wired up, and there's only one thing to do now. Give it a whirl.
Unit's on.
That one's working.
That is a dodo.
So, more research and a new plan.
Effectively, this thing is a switch, and all it does is it turns it off or on at the press of a button, and when you take your finger off, it stops. Simple as that. So the essence of it is, doesn't matter how you tart it up, it's a switch. In this here box, complete with instructions, there's a new one. It looks slightly different. This little thing the same thing really, isn't it? 150 quid for a switch. Let go of my arm.
Yes, I know. When you talk marine, you add zeros. So it's time to wire in the new switch and see how we get on. Fortunately, it's pretty much plug and play.
Left side. Right side.
So there it is then. One reconditioned motor fitted and a switch that works. Just got to refit the switch now.
Okay, so this is where the switch unit sits, and you can see there's a screw head broken off here. So I'm going to drill that one out, and these I've just put in just for now, just to, so I don't lose them. Get rid of this old Sikaflex seal here. Got some new seal to put in there, ready to go. And I've just taken a turn around here with a wire just to make sure that it doesn't part company in the meantime, because I would hate it to drop in there. So here goes nothing. Okay, so hole is through. I've got to say it was actually a little tougher than expected. That was to put up quite a fight. So I'm going to clean up the edges, give it a clean down with some thinners, and then we'll get some more Sikaflex on there. Okay, so it's in, looking good. The discovery that my Sikaflex is black rather than white. I failed to spot that one, so I've had a hell of a clean-up operation around here where I've sealed it. The last job to do is pop these back on, which are in the corners here, but I'm going to get the Sikaflex off my hands first, otherwise I'm just spread it everywhere again. So there she is, folks. She's on.
Success. Okay, so when the professional was removing the bow thruster motor, I asked him to fit an isolator so I could isolate the bow thruster and the wingless, which were on the same system. So after the professional fitted the isolator, the anchor windlass hasn't worked since. It's now my job to dig into the electrics and find out what's going on.
Up and yonder.
This means tracing the various wires.
Here, these are the actual foot pedal switch controls, and this is the negative, really. Okay, so what I'm suspecting, having given this a test, I know the relay's now working. I've tested that. It wasn't pretty, but I did it. This one in the middle here, which is C, looking at the wiring diagram, that is a negative, and that is this wire here. We trace that wire back and it comes into the fuse box here, the relay thing, isolator that somebody fitted, and it actually goes on to the positive in there. Now that's my theory, that is on the wrong one. And if we have a look at the old diagram here, so we can see it comes down here and go to the negative. So that's my theory. Now if I'm right, I connect that up to the correct negative.
And Bob's your mother's brother. Unfortunately, I forgot to mention I'm slightly colourblind as well, so this could be interesting.
The blue wire, which is from the relay solenoid, is now actually going onto the earth, which is shared with the bow thruster earth as well, and everything is back together. Okay, so if this is right, it should work. Do you want to give it a whirl for me? Okay, here we go. We have success. Okay, so here out on deck, so at the moment we've got this bit missing here, which as you can see has been bodged before. Just another thing on the jobs list. But
Success again. My God, Jim, I'm beginning to think I can cure a rainy day. As if.
okay, so while I've been busy playing with the bow thruster, somebody else has been busy
doing the netting. It's coming along great. Fair play. But the netting is taking shape nicely.
Before we started fishing this netting, we did a bit of research because we were in two minds. But then there's a few reasons why we decided to go with it in the end. And here's a little demo. So had the netting not been there, would that have been different? But there's two Labradors we want to keep on board. And speaking of which, it's time to suit and boot and ready to go sailing for our first time this season. Toby here and Willow here are seasoned sailors. But it has to be admitted, while they both seem to enjoy the adventure, particularly when they go ashore, unfortunately they both seem very reluctant to get into the tender, and this has often resulted in something of a pitched battle. More work needed here.
No, not this one.
And so at last we look to our first sail of the season, which by the way is almost a full family outing. The plan is a simple one: head down the Cleddau and basically dip our toe out into open water and see how we get on. The trip down the Cleddau was uneventful, and you joined us just as we were actually starting to reach open water near St. Anne's Head. What looks like some sort of drilling platform ahead of us is actually a barge that's elevated from the water whilst they're working on the mid-channel marker. Channel rock guards the entrance to the Cleddau. Beyond it is open water, but this area can get quite bumpy, and today didn't disappoint. You know, there's a saying amongst us sailing instructors: if you're enjoying yourself, your chances are that your students aren't. There's a very important clue coming up that I missed completely. It slipped me by. Not everyone on board is enjoying the conditions as much as I am. While first mate Stephen and I are enjoying the pasties, we're oblivious to the fact that other crew members are struggling. By the time I spotted the need of my crew members and turned for shore once more, it was already too late. I could only kick myself afterwards at failing to spot the important signs. Sadly for our youngest member of the crew, we'd already reached the point of no return. Also later, I realised that perhaps I'm Captain Bligh, because instead of showing parental concern, I'm actually more concerned about getting him downwind of the rest of us. So we make our way into a nice quiet anchorage. Still a little bit breezy in here, but it's nice and calm. Everyone can relax, get their breath back, have a cup of tea, and of course, take the dogs to the beach for a run ashore. So this trip has served as something as a timely reminder for me not to lose sight of the bigger picture here and think about the welfare of my crew. Fortunately, this anchorage proved just what we needed, and we made a promise that we'd come back here and visit again. But now it's time to make our way back up the river. A nice following breeze provided just the perfect opportunity to let our youngest member have a go at the helm whilst under sail for the very first time. Finally, with a good breeze blowing across the entrance to the marina, it was time to make our way through the lock. Fortunately, this time it was on free flow. If I'm honest, I'm always nervous about this particular part, coming back onto the berth. Not so much damaging my boat, but damaging somebody else's. Fortunately, that doesn't happen. A brisk tailwind made it a far speedier experience than I expected, but we made it safely. And what a day we've had. Double T is proving the sailboat that we really hoped she would be, and we know we're on a learning curve right now. But it's a journey we're enjoying. Coming up next time, we're on the next Goonie project here. It's time to get creative. It's a highly developed plan. But what can I be making? And our grand plan this morning is to sail on our first proper sort of passage somewhere other than the delivery trip. Yeah, so we've hit this tiny snag, which you can see just behind me. No, it's not a backdrop. It's fog. Pea soup. I'm getting a strong sense of deja vu right now. The wind has abandoned us, and this sea is horrible. Not quite the sailing adventure we were hoping for. See you next time.